Hello and welcome to another District 211 Automotive Technology instructional video. My name is Joe Tulo from Conant High School, and today I'll be going through the different types of bulbs, how to change bulbs, and finally how to aim headlights. Before we get into replacing bulbs and taking that stuff apart, you have to be able to identify what type of taillight assembly you have. LED lights are light emitting diodes. It's an ultra efficient, newer style of bulb that's not replaceable. If you have taillights that look like this with lots of little bulbs inside a big housing, you have to replace the entire housing as an assembly if lights go bad. Some of them are light bars like this. You can see it's a bar style light, or a combination of both, where you'll see the little bulbs and beam style bulbs. So if your taillights look like this, they're not replaceable. You have to replace the entire assembly together if there is an issue. Luckily, they do last a long time. You can't always see through the lens, but sometimes you can see through your lens and actually physically see a bulb. That's one way to tell for sure that you have replaceable bulb style taillights. So if you look through there and you see something like that, looks like a bulb, then you're in good shape. So if you do have replaceable style bulbs, we will go through taking a taillight out and replacing some bulbs. But here's a headlight. This is a halogen bulb. And what you guys need to know about this is you cannot touch the glass. So you have to be very careful when you're taking them out of the package and replacing those type of bulbs not to touch the glass. It will ruin the bulb. Everything else is totally fine. So you can see there's the part number there on the back side of it. Every bulb has some sort of part number on it. So this is a regular old school metal socket style bulb. And if you look closely, you can see it's actually a dual filament, meaning it's two light bulbs into one. There's the low and the high filament on that, and that would be used for like a tail light brake light assembly. So the tail light's always on, and then when you hit the brake light, it gets brighter. That's that style of bulb. So it's technically two light bulbs in one. It's called a dual filament. All of those ones I'm showing you right now are dual filament. That one's the later style plastic socket. It's more like a blade type. You'll see those with and without the plastic there. So you may pull out a bulb and it might look like you pulled the bulb out of the socket, but you didn't. That's just how they're manufactured. So let's take a look at how to take out my truck taillight housing here. So they're always hidden. If it's a car, it's going to be in the trunk. If it's an SUV, you got to open the hatch, station wagons, whatever. Pickup trucks, you open the tailgate, and there's usually two screws. These were T25 Torx, so they're the star bit screws. So I took out both screws, and it's still being held in by a clip. You got to be mindful of that. Just gently wiggle it, and you'll be able to pull it out of any plastic clips or whatever. And then the electrical connectors just have a tab that you squeeze. So after I get the electrical, look at that, my taillight's cracked. After you get the electrical connectors off, you can actually quarter turn the bulbs out. So you can see I was able to remove the socket and remove the bulb from the socket. So this is how you would replace that. It just pulls straight out. The metal ones are like a quarter turn or an eighth of a turn to get them out. So you see that quarter turn to seat, put it back in, connect my electrical connections, tail light and reverse lights. Then I pop it back into the plastic clips, and then you put your screws back in and you're good to go. A car is no different. This is a BMW, so it's laid out a little bit nicer. It's actually kind of cool how they did this. There's a quarter turn plastic nut, and the whole bulb assembly pulls out of the back of the taillight. I can remove the taillight housing with some 10mm nuts there. They're on studs, and I could actually get the entire housing out of the car. But to change bulbs, they made it so you could do it without tools. You open up that back thing, quarter turn, the plastic assembly comes off that holds all of the bulbs. And these are the older school type of metal socket bulbs. So these all will require like an eighth of a turn. You can see me struggling with the electrical connector here for a while. It was really tight. It's probably, not been taken out or only been taken out a few times, so they get stuck. But you just have to be patient and wiggle. So there's the metal socket. It's about an eighth of a turn. You push it down, turn it, and it'll stay in there. Same thing, quarter turn, eighth of a turn, and those two metal spikes kind of hold it in place. You replace the bulbs you need to replace, and then you could put that whole assembly back. It's pretty nice. I recommend changing bulbs as a set. If you lost a brake light, the other one's probably not too far behind, but you don't have to. It's up to you. So changing headlight bulbs is much the same. Again, do not touch the glass of halogen bulbs, but if it's LED or incandescent, you can, touch it wherever you want. But what we're looking at here is they're actually interchangeable. You can get aftermarket LED bulbs and replace your halogen bulbs. And so obviously on the right-hand side, you're looking at LED. The left-hand side is a regular halogen bulb. So there is upgrades, but you do get what you pay for here. Cheap LED headlight upgrades are not good because they have no real light pattern. It's got to have pretty much the same pattern as the stock headlights so you can aim them correctly. Aiming headlights is extremely important. Okay, a lot of people probably don't even know you can do this, and in some cars you can't do this. But in a lot of them you can. There's little adjusters that are built into the actual headlight housing that allow you to aim it up or down. You can see stamped into the paint there by my finger, to the left-hand side of my finger, there's an arrow pointing to that hole. That's where the headlight adjuster on my truck lines up with. You stick a Phillips screwdriver down there and start turning it in one direction, and you'll see the headlights start to move. Here is that BMW's headlight adjusters, and again, this is a 1998, so it's a lot earlier than my truck, but you can see the Ultimate Driving Machine does it without tools. They give you knobs there with a gear, so you can adjust the headlights without tools. All you need to do is open the hood. What I like to do is get the vehicle about 30 feet away from something on level ground. I like to use another car because to me the most important thing is not shining your headlights into other people's passenger compartments when you're on level ground. So about 30 feet away, I'll pull the vehicle on level ground and turn on the headlights and see where they end up. And you can see, my driveway's not perfectly level. The truck was pointed up a little bit, but I should bring my headlights down a little bit because you can see it's over the door line and the hood line of that car. Here's an illustration showing you the correct way to do it. Your headlights should always be pointing at a slight downward angle. So if you're 25 to 30 feet back, you should basically at about 25 to 30 inches. If you want to just put a piece of masking tape on your garage door, that's totally fine if you have a level driveway, or go to a parking lot. You basically want to set your headlights so the top, the brightest part, is right at that 25-30 inch line, and then as you back up, you should see your headlights get lower and lower and lower. So you want to be able to see far down the road when you're driving at higher speeds on the highway, stuff like that. But you also don't want your headlights coming into other people's interiors. We've all been there where you could see someone's obnoxious lights in your mirror, bouncing around, stuff like that. It's super distracting. Give other drivers a courtesy and don't do that. That being said, some headlights are non-adjustable. I'm going to loop this video a few times so you guys can see it. Pay close attention to that right-hand side headlight. See it moving? It actually self-adjusts. So I shouldn't say that it's non-adjustable because you can adjust these with a scan tool or a factory computer, but it actually reads the vehicle's speed and adjusts the headlight off of that. So if you're going really slow, they're pointing down at the ground to not bother anybody else. And when you're going fast, they point up. They even have headlights that'll turn with the wheels. Pretty cool stuff. Now, that being said, the headlight aiming is on you. Very rarely do people go to shops to have this kind of stuff done. It's very quick and easy. You don't need to pay $100 an hour for a mechanic to do this. Pull up your car against your garage about 30 feet away and make the adjustments yourself. Go drive around, see how it is. There's a lot of great videos on YouTube on doing this. There's a lot of different opinions on it, but the fact of the matter is, if you can see as far as you can without shining your lights in anybody's car, you're doing good.